Aloha. Today I wanted to do a video in reference to, a whole bunch of things, but I think it was pretty much going to be narrowed down to the idea of identity, or the id entity, and how these identities get manipulated, and how important it is to establish yourself in your soul identity, in your ancestral identity, and your body identity, to really understand, to set a solid foundation to what it is that you intend to express as who and what you are in every moment. So basically having a conviction of self. So if you don't understand or have a solid foundation, then you're not going to produce solid, strong roots to a solid, strong tree, to a solid, strong branch, to a solid, strong fruit. This just won't happen because the foundation which you have planted your roots is weak. It's either too full of air, lacking soil, lacking water, lacking some of the elements. And going back into my previous video, this will tie into what I was referencing as far as the new age being heavily enveloped in the alien agenda and the space program and disclosure and secret revealing of alien technology and all this stuff, and only having a real, an outside secondary version of connection to their baseline foundation. So there might be a connection with the elementals and the earth frequencies, but those frequencies are heavily outweighed by the hope for change of the future, which is the consciousness creating its reality in reference to the extraterrestrials are going to come and save everything. Whether you still believe in that or not, that energy still exists in the so-called New Age community. It's not based upon the individual. If some people are still thinking that way, then it exists in the consciousness in some kind of way. That is creating too much of separation in reference to the order of expansion. So we all individually have our different orders and styles of expanding our own consciousness. We all go there in our own sort of orderly and chaotic form in reference to time, the collective storyline, and our own soul journey. So we all have our own different soul journeys. At the same time, there's an order to which the seed grows into that little plant, or that little stem into that giant tree, to produce that fruit, to produce another seed. That there's an order in which that relationship has to be made, and if you go out of order, that's a direct reflection of imbalance. And that goes back to where I was talking about conviction. If you don't have a solid anchor in your own understandings of who and what you are, then you will produce fruit. Genetically modified fruit is one good example that will not produce seeds. Just like the genetically modified seeds that are put out by Monsanto, they're not designed to produce seeds in order to produce robot vegetables, robot fruits, robot like frankenfoods. So it there's no essence there. It's all based upon this physical reality moment without taking into consideration the future or the past or really the present moment, because that genetically modified moment is affecting the only moment that exists outside of time. We only experience time because we have our memories to pull from the past and project into the future. But time itself is relative to the individual. One example is staring at the clock on a Friday and it goes by super slow, and time flies when you're having fun. So it's relative to the individual. At the same time, like I said with the elements, there's an order to time overall in the relationship that the collective has to time itself. If we are out of balance, we will, if one system is out of balance, then it has the potential to throw other systems out of balance, because just like an engine, if the carburetor's jacked up, then eventually the timing will be thrown off. You could blow a head gasket because of the whatever it is. If there's a crack in the manifold, then you're gonna have like oil leaking, and then overheat. Like this, there's this whole thing, this system that we understand as the human. For one example, the human experience has basic human needs and balances that are in a direct relationship to the earth plane and the elemental realm. We are the babies of this physical body we understand as the earth plane, and when we are bombarded by prescription drugs, genetically modified foods, fluoridated water, smog in the air, and stuck in these boxes we call apartments and the American dream home, then we're separating ourselves. That's one way to throw us out of balance. So we lose track of our own organic body identity. Another form of losing that identity is the mind identity, or the ancestral storyline that we are, that gets manipulated by the system. We get manipulated into believing into a system that has been fabricated, that is in its essence genetically modified to maintain this idea of intellect, this idea of understanding, this idea of connection that is not, it's not rooted in anything real. Obviously, when you understand that everything was stolen from everything in the what's today understood as the university system. What was the first university? Where was that? You'll trace it back to Africa. In Morocco, I believe it was. The very first university where they actually studied the universe. After that, the artificial, the genetically modified university system was created and installed this globe model and so on and so forth. Here we are today, thinking that we're becoming smart, generating this artificial ego of, like this image says, I'm better than you, and then that's another version of separation. So then you have the brothers and sisters who go to college and who are like thinking they're better than the brothers and sisters who didn't go to college. And then that's like another version of slavery. That's becoming part of the house slave. It's this house slave mentality. When you buy into this genetically modified colonial program environment, then you become a product of your environment, because your identity on every level, the soul, the mind, and the body is relative to the system that has been created for you to trap yourself within. And it's not the most basic and obvious trap of one of these mind control programs is politics. To get you emotionally involved, another form of getting you trapped is to play with your emotions. This is why you have the music industry focusing on so many certain vibrations, the Hollywood programming, stories, scripts focusing on certain stories, sharing only certain actors, putting other actors in certain positions, saying certain things, doing certain things. This is not relative to one thing. It's the entire balance of who and what you are. And if you are in balance, if you are not, just like this image shows, if you're healthy, then you can't, the prescription drug or the medical industry can't make money off of you. So they got to keep you unhealthy. They got to keep you sick. That's why there's so many side effects to these prescription drugs, as opposed to telling you to adjust the entire system, which is you eating in the moment, what you eat, what you drink, how you think, how you live. That's actual health care. That's actual living. But you can't make money off of that. So these prescription drugs are like a half truth. And really, when you understand that the placebo effect exists, then how could you really tell if these medicines are really affecting you? And now you can go into like, oh, well, if I just had surgery and I take a Vicodin, it helps me. Actually, that shit just numbs you. It numbs a certain part of you. Now, there's balances here and there with all kinds of different things, different forms of engaging in your reality. I'm not saying one or the other in any kind of way. What I'm going to bring light to is the fact that the foundations of these systems never get addressed, because if you start to shift and adjust the foundations of these systems, the systems themselves will be irrelevant. So the body is locked down with a half-truth of understanding the scientific relationship with you, with everything, your mind, your body, and your spirit. Because if you obviously understand that your body gets sick because it first manifests in your mind. People believing in the prescription drug reality individually and collectively makes people more sick. If the opposite were true, less people would be sick. That's just a reality. If we had a system that was dedicated to understanding the basic human needs of organic foods and balances, not forcing it down our, like they're forcing vaccines on these babies because that system needs people to be more sick, more conform more to the system, to have more people giving their powers away to empower the system itself. Locking down your body, locking down your mind. The reason why you give your power away to the system on the body level is because your mind has been locked down 10 times as more intense than that. So the body was locked down initially with the whips and chains, but you also had the psychological whips and chains of the university system that were simultaneously running. That is no different than the religious whips and chains that keep you from going further, which is the same reason why they made all the slaves convert to Christianity, because you can control somebody who is separate and from their original design, their original connections to spirit. You can control them, create instability because they are subconsciously and consciously uncomfortable with the new system, not to mention the fact that it's heavily artificial, designed by a system manipulated to empower the system as a whole when they talk about slavery and all that. But that's one form, but the more obvious form of that is the university system itself, installing the globe model, installing the when you have only so-called white teachers teaching non-white people, that creates something, that does something to the mind, individually and collectively. The same way, excuse me, the same way your so-called white Oscars or white Hollywood affects the individual, the baby, the child, the Disney princess mentality from a little a little so-called black baby, or a little Mexican girl watching Frozen, or watching, Aladdin, or Snow White, and all these Disney princess movies. It does something to them. It does something to them. And if it does something to the individual, you gotta understand that it does something to the collective. And that's actually the intention. Because when you steal time, when your entire business model, which is this system of enslavement, collective enslavement, is a business model. When that model is based upon deception, then it's not deception on the individual scale and the collective scale. Then you can understand that it's not about like what's happening right now. This system is designed to keep itself afloat 10, 20, 50, 100 years from now. So when people are talking about Trump and Hillary and Bernie Sanders and what's happening now, or even what you're talking about with 4 years from now, you're still caught up in the checker game, never realizing the chess, the three layers of chess, the three-dimensional chess game that's being played on your soul, your mind, and your body, outside of the checker game, outside of the checker games of Democrats and Republicans, of so-called black people and white people, or the race agenda. Like all these are checker games. Anything you see on the mainstream, that's a checker game. Alternative news, that's checkers. Alex Jones, that's checkers. He's obviously with Trump. That's to bring in this conspiracy into the mainstream, that mentality into the mainstream. This is all checkers. When you get stuck in the checker game and then start to celebrate that checker game, then you are separating yourself from that's the illusion realm, and you start to separate yourself from the organic experience that you exist as, your maximum potential. This is why the pineal gland is never discussed. This is why today, in reference to what the pineal gland being understood in ancient Egypt and so on and so forth, this is why psychedelics are criminalized. You have your vibrations, your vibrations that you have a relationship with need to be dumbed down, because the vibrations that you have a relationship with are a direct relation to the vibrations that have you relating to other people, your family, your culture, the collective, the land, the elements, the stars, the entire experience itself. If you start to understand your true connections on a spirit level, on a soul level, then you will start to understand how the intellect and the mind really exist, and what its capabilities really are. If you start to do that, then you will start to realize how important it is to maintain the anchor space of your body, to realize that your food that you eat is really a medicine. It's not food, like that word food, FOOD. It's just like this empty word, food. Like anything is food. Anything, like it's just dead. It's a dead thing. But when you say medicine, oh, I'm eating medicine, or this is medicine, then it changes the vibration of what you're looking at when you're going into the store. When you're going to Costco or Whole Foods or wherever you're going, You start to look at things differently when you understand that you can't look at a ham steak. You can't look at some ham hocks and say that it's medicine. You can't look at a shrink wrapped I don't know, whatever. You know what I'm saying. You can't look at that dead energy. That's dead energy. There's no way that that could be medicine for you. The only way that you make it medicine for you is because what your mind does when you have like this nostalgic feeling towards it. That's actually what makes it more real for you. But nostalgia, like grandma's gumbo or something like that, or grandpa's, curry or whatever, or not curry. That's good. That's actually pretty good once you get some like good vegetables and stuff in it. But like, what's some nasty ass like I don't know, like putting bacon on everything. The old school mentality. This is old. That's not medicine. Getting back to the point. That old, just because it's old, so your mind actually makes it good for you. Like, you feel good. That's actually what makes you feel better. You feel good in the moment. And then you leave, or an hour later, you get the itis. And you start feeling like, because your body is literally trying to understand what the fuck you just did to it. It's like, what are you doing? Go to sleep so I can go to work. And it's just like, oh. And you say, oh, that feels good. It's like, no, all that dead fat, all that dead meat needs to be processed. All the energy that your body would normally utilize to walk you through the day needs to be focused on destroying this dead energy that you just put in your body to get it out of there. And you can process it in some kind of way. That doesn't mean it's good for you. That doesn't mean that, like, you can get energy from it, but that doesn't mean it's good for you. It doesn't mean it's medicine. And then, of course, obviously, you see the relationship with heart problems, bad food, and the healthcare industry. They feed each other. More prescriptions, more bad food. People are eating bad food. And then you got people who eat to like feel better. Comfort food. Like they eat like, I can't think of the terminology for it right now, so I'm on a roll, but you know what I mean. So that in itself, it just feeds itself. So this whole system feeds itself. The half-truths of your body feeds itself to make you more sick. The doctors that prescribe these prescription drugs go to this education system, which is anchored in the foundation that is the foundation to the political scene, which has power over your human resources as a whole. So the fiat currency system, the maritime admiralty system, the university system, the political game, you having to go to work and just to provide basic human needs for your babies is a system that feeds itself, and it's based upon separation and limitation. Your idea of the future, if you're in the so-called New Age mentality, is locked down by the fact that the disclosure, so-called disclosure and secret space program is still based upon the system itself. You give the power to the system because you say they are holding something from you, but they can never hold anything from you if you have a knowledge of self. You will already understand that half-assed information that they can reveal to you. So you are giving that system power by believing that it has power over you. And that will steal your time, because you will live in waiting for the rest of your life. You will live waiting for the system to change, and all it has to do is just adjust the frequency. People will live and die waiting their entire lives. So you can do that in the new age frequency. You can do that in the political frequency, waiting for the next Barack Obama, waiting for the next president to change, waiting for the next system to adjust, waiting for the next. You can do it with technology. Oh, well, we'll wait for NASA. We're going to go to Mars. We're going to fix climate change. We're going to fix this. We're going to adjust from fossil fuels to whatever it is. You're still waiting instead of generating that information from the inside. If you're constantly externalizing your reality, then that is the separation program. That is the genetically modified spirit. It's outside of you. It's like your spirit, your soul, like the American dream, America #1, the Constitution, that has a spirit in itself. And when you install all of these artificial spirits into your reality, then you become a zombie. You become a robot. And it goes as far as signing a contract to join the military, to give your life away to the system, doing it all in good nature. This is all, you yourself will never disconnect from the spirit essence, as you are a manifestation of that spirit essence. So you yourself, your intentions are true. But if you buy into the illusion that has been installed into you by generations before you, by the moment, by the half-truth of your history, the half-truth of your present moment, and the half-truth of your future, then you are not you anymore. You have no soul identity. You have no intellectual identity. You have no body identity. Completely out of whack. And I can tell you from experience, being in the military, when you have that little lunch period, you're pretty much just eating fast food. If you don't want to eat what's in the so-called chow hall, you're not going to eat what's in the chow hall, which is, they ain't got no organic shit in there. They don't care about you. You are a number, an expendable entity that only means to be kept alive, functioning. And ultimately, when you take it even further to understanding that you're a test subject, soldiers are test subjects for the collective, the civilian population. So all those vaccines that they're pushing on these babies right now, they were all tested on the soldiers first. Your microchip in your debit card was tested in the soldiers' ID cards first. This is when you sign your life away, they obviously have zero concern with the civilian life. When you understand what's happening in Flint, Michigan, what's happening with the water in Flint, what's happening with the water in Standing Rock, what's happened to the indigenous and aboriginal people. If you can understand what's happening today to civilians, then just imagine what's happening to the soldiers without them knowing. There's no way you can question it. I was, right before I got out, I almost got demoted right before I got out. I had 6 months left, and they tried to make me get the H1N1 vaccine. And I told them they can kiss my ass all the way up to colonels. And when you say that stuff, when you do that, when you make that stand, it's not a little thing. It represents, especially being the rank that I was as a staff sergeant, like it means something. Because other soldiers, other humans are looking at that and now asking themselves, what the fuck is he talking about? He's not a dummy. He's not, there's something, he got to know something's going on. So it creates instability not only in the system itself, but in the minds of these humans, which are only supposed to be robots. You are only supposed to get yourself vaccinated and shut your damn mouth. You're only supposed to do whatever it is that they tell you, and you shut your mouth. That's the system itself that is being installed into the civilian program with this whole weaponizing of the militarization of the police, and the shutting down of protests. You don't have no freedom of speech. If you can understand that the whole trending and all that stuff, if you can understand that storylines are being promoted by the system, you gotta understand that storylines and perspectives and information is simultaneously being held back. If they can put information in your face with the news and alternative news and so-called conspiracy theory news and trending news and so-called conscious news and conscious people and radio stations, if they can amplify all of these distractions into your reality, you have to understand that they will simultaneously quiet and silence people. If not 10, 100 times more than they amplify people. Because that's actually a threat to the system. So, and it's not just about the information, it's how the information at the same time. So you have so-called positive information that's actually not really positive overall. It might be positive for some people on an individual scale, but when you zoom out and you see what this does to the collective, then it's a problem. So when you look at the gay agenda and you have for example, like a little kid who's struggling with his or her identity, sexual identity, adjusting to the normalization system, because the system is just so far from the natural system, and they see all of this so-called change with the gay agenda. Some people can look at that and say that's a good thing. It's helping, it's giving this child some hope, or whatever it is. So like they're whatever. When you zoom out and you see what these agendas, like the gay agenda, has on a collective scale, zoom all the way out and realize if you had just a planet full of gay people, is that natural? It's normal for a system that is out of balance, but it's not natural. So the system itself, and when I bring up stuff like the gay agenda like this, I'm not saying like I have no like prejudice towards anybody like that, any individuals or anything like that. I'm addressing the system itself, how it's promoting mind control programs with an intention. I am addressing that intention as a whole, because if we don't question our reality, we will end up falling into systems that are a result of the checker game, which are really just setting you up for the chess game. So stuff like the gay agenda, the alien agenda, the transhumanism agenda, you think that it's good because you have this technology available to you. You have this access to this information. It's good on an individual level. But then you have phones that are blowing up. You got a radiation. You got this so-called smart meters, smartphones, smart this. It's designed to make you think it's smart. It's also making you dumb, because now you have no reasons to work your mind, to work your memory, to understand or research information, because it's all accessible to you. So you are now actually a slave to the internet because it's just there for you. And like if anything comes up, then you can. What comes through the internet to you is actually controlling how you expand your consciousness, rather than you tapping into your imagination, your intuition, your natural connections to understanding and interpreting your reality on a natural scale. That's a different format. That's a different stream. Like the mainstream comes into your reality. It streams into your reality. And then you have to adjust to it. The other stream of information that comes through naturally is your soul stream, your ancestral stream, your natural stream, your intellectual stream, your collective stream that comes from the inside out. Your dream stream, like the information that comes from having a relationship with your dreams. Like all of these other streams of information that exist are the reasons why the mainstream exists, to hold you back and keep you out of balance. And the information that comes within those streams, like the worshiping of technology, like the worshiping of the university system, like the worshiping of everything that is so-called mainstream, so-called demigods like in Hollywood, that is the information itself, the entities behind that information controlling you. The reason why you can be controlled on that level is because we are held in that low vibration of fear with the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, and the separation from each other. If you are separated from your culture, if you are separated from your actual understanding of the universe, if you're separated from if you're simultaneously designed to hate people, designed to, like what old school and even today's version of Hollywood and TV does to make you think that so-called black people are dangerous or dumb. It's the same thing that happened in the 50s and 40s and 60s when they were making all those toys and posters and all that stuff that was into segregation. This is that short-sighted mentality we get into. We don't realize that this is no different than the 40s and 50s. It's the same shit. And then you take pride in it. Oh, it's obviously different. Come on. Really? It's not. It's actually worse, because now it's even obvious to see it that it's worse now, because now you have so-called white people who are angry. Come on, we got a Donald Trump. He's obviously a racist. He's obviously this. He's like, it's only obvious to you because all the other shit just ain't been obvious because it's been good for you. It ain't been good for everybody else. We the ones who've been understanding how fucked up this whole system is from the get-go. Take it even further. Go walk onto a Native American reservation and talk to them and realize that they've been realizing it since Christopher Columbus first stepped foot over here. This is that short-sighted information that people get to defending because ultimately you believe in the evolution model where you come from monkeys, and now since we're not monkeys anymore and we created an iPhone and we created a Pizza Hut and Papa John's and a McDonald's drive-through and vending machines, that hey, this is it. We did it. We went to the moon. Oh man, we're really smart monkeys. NASA doesn't exist. NASA's full of shit. Hey, you can't be talking about how smart those NASA monkeys are, or of course they went to the moon. Of course Neil deGrasse Tyson knows everything about the universe. Come on. Alright. And then, so this is that shifting from the collective and the individual. And it's like all these things that I'm mentioning, like the agendas that are just existing out there. These are all these agendas that exist, like the mainstream exists to keep you from understanding your soul identity, your cultural identity, your intellectual identity, your organic, natural identity on the body, your relationship, the earth plane relationship. Excuse me. Creates broken people. When you create broken people, you create broken families. When you create broken families, you create broken communities. When you create broken communities, you create broken culture. Create broken culture, create broken nations. Create broken nations, create broken relationships between and misunderstandings between the entire earth plane, and then that's when people go to war. It's about separation from the individual all the way up to the family, through the family to the collective. See what technology does to the family. It's creating a separation. It's creating a gap. It's installing people's consciousness into social media. Social media is being installed into the consciousness of the people. It's a two-way street. And what gets cut off is your connection to off of the street, outside of the city, your connection to the earth. Beyond that, it's the language itself. So it's even more difficult to realize that it's not just the information, like I mentioned in the last video. It's not the information that's being sold to the people to lock us down and lock us into a certain frequency and lock us away from our actual essence of who and what we are. It's the language that information is being projected as. So even with this, the growth of black consciousness means a threat to European deceptions. True story. This truly exists. This is why Napoleon went and chopped off all the noses of the statues in Kemet. This is why the indigenous people and the aboriginal people were labeled as savages and primitive. This is why Christianity and Catholicism was installed to disconnect people from their natural connections to spirit, to throw a monkey wrench in all of the relationships to spirit across the earth plane, to set that broken foundation to install a new religion, which is the scientism religion, to sell this new so-called new version of understanding our universe. So now the people who are living in the rainforests and connecting to the elements and nature are now even more so thought of as savage and primitive, because they made you believe that they're going to Mars, that they went to the moon, and then they can do all this other stuff with technology. So the Bible's, today's version of the Bible, which is like this more intellectual version of, the version of savagery, connection to spirit. Oh, don't do those drum circles and medicine wheels and don't listen to the shaman. Those are primitives. We have this book. We have these churches. This is obviously more dignified for humanity. It's like, oh, okay, they bought it. Your ancestors bought it. Today's version of buying it is technology, transhumanism, going to the moon, NASA, SpaceX, Tesla, all this shit that makes you buy into the system. That's today's Bible. That's today's church, scientism. And then people defend it, just like they defended Christianity and Catholicism back in the day. Today's version of that is scientism. We did go to the moon. We did. That is a real picture of Earth. Look, those aren't CGI clouds. And then you end up fighting about all this stuff in between there, getting focused in that storyline. Never realizing that the language itself, calling yourself in this image as a perfect example, like all that is one world of interaction. And you can pride yourself in seeing that, like, oh yeah, like, well, I'm understanding the flat earth and all this other stuff, but that's still the information itself. The language is where I wanted to focus my energy on in this video, of your identity, of black consciousness. What the fuck does that even mean? I know what it means on one level. I can have a conversation with somebody about black consciousness. You can talk about it. You can run a whole class about it. But you're not black. And that other person ain't white. It's empty. That word is empty. Because you yourself, in reference to the individual you are, it's like, oh, what was a good example? It's like the relationship that you have to your mother. All of the stuff that like she raised you, everything that you are, all of the essence that your mother is. And then just saying, oh, that's just a woman. She's just a lady. It's nothing. There's no essence there. There's nothing there. Because you know who that person actually is. You know who your mother really is. You know how smart she is. You know how caring she is. You know how deep she is. You know how everything that makes up that individual is in the essence of who and what she is. That a label like woman or lady doesn't really qualify. It doesn't calibrate. It doesn't match up. So if that is the same relationship that you have to language and understanding, that energy, then what do you think that has in reference to entire races of people, an entire group of people calling themselves a color? There's no essence there. There's nothing. It's empty. This is intellectual emptiness. The education system, the university system, it's intellectual emptiness. Words like black, even if you match it up with a deep word like consciousness, it still ain't gonna make it any more deep than that. It's still shallow as shit. And we'll get through this. We're getting through this. This is my point of this whole video, why I'm focusing on this, is to see how deep this mind control program really goes. And I'm not nitpicking. This is not nitpicking. This is for real. Words have energy. Especially words that you identify as. That's the foundation of what the information you are projecting from who and what you are comes from. If it's coming from a space of emptiness and lack of understanding of who and what you are on the basic level, then the information is automatically compromised on some level. And yes, I know you use words to explain certain things, but what I'm saying is that every single thing matters. Every single energy matters. So when we are referring to ourselves as black conscious, that's not a real thing. It's empty. Same thing goes for so-called white people. Find out, make it not just black, so-called black and so-called white people. Everybody really needs to understand their relationships to their ancestors, their connections to spirit and nature, the origins of who and what you are, the reasons why your great-great-great-great grandmothers and grandparents were existing in the time frame that they were, based upon their level of consciousness at that time, through the generations up to you right now, and what your meaning and your purpose is right now in relation to what they had to go through, what they lived and learned from that experience, what they're doing, based upon the trend, the understanding of all those storylines and the relationships that they had to each other in relation to how you experience your reality. Not how the stream of information goes into you, but how you interpret that information and experience and express that information in the moment as you go. These agendas, New Age agenda, alien agenda, transhumanism agenda, political agenda, military industrial complex, prison industrial complex agenda, these are all to project a future timeline that is not for your benefit, to create your future for you, to create your language for you. And it's about dumbing you down. If they can dumb your body down with prescription drugs, they can dumb your body down with the prescription drug language, which is this whole technological language. This LOL, LMAO, BRB, like all these acronyms. This is a dumbing down of information. We think it's getting better. Same thing that happened with Obama, but that's not it. It's deeper than that. So yes, like this image states, the growth of black consciousness is a threat to European deception. This is very true. That's one level of consciousness, one level of understanding how the chessboard is set up, how the checker game is manipulated. At the same time, we have to go deeper and deeper into understanding how energy within those games are affecting us and the timelines that we project from the inside out in this moment and in our projected futures. Energetically, we're doing this. So to close everything out, I really just wanted to focus on, like I started off with talking about, the idea of identity and the soul level, the mind level, and the body level, and really just hold ourselves accountable for the foundations that we create with the information that we are sharing in the moment, slowing down the moment, slowing down our expressions enough to realize that we have to hold ourselves accountable for this foundation. Not for ourselves per se, but really for these babies, these kids who are going to come up and start to project the future, because somebody can get off on a certain path and be on that path for years, never realizing that the layer right behind that, or right underneath that is equally important. It's the details. So yes, this is a wonderful piece of imagery to understand psychologically, on your soul level, spiritually, and physically. At the same time, there's something deeper than that we have to tap into. And the deeper that we go into tapping into our true potential, the more streamlined we'll be able to interact with our reality as a whole, with a solid foundation, a solid identity, a solid understanding, or at least being open to understanding what that is, tracing our roots back, and then moving into a space. So that's pretty much it. Yeah, the last thing, or the thing I really didn't go into, I kind of tapped on it in some kind of ways, is the elements, just mentioning the elements, just as we are separated from the elements That's another reason why we are kind of lackadaisy with our soul identity or our ancestral spaces. It's because everything is just all over the place. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for joining me. And until next time, from all my relations, peace, love, and harmony.